My children, hear these words that come forth as thunder across the heavens. The time approaches when the earth shall tremble, and the skies shall speak with mighty voice. I have watched as you have walked through valleys of uncertainty, and now I come to you with urgent tidings of what lies ahead. On the 11th and 12th day of this 7th month, you must be vigilant and prepared, for these days carry the weight of divine significance. Just as I warned Noah before the floods, I now warn you of the approaching hours that will test the foundations of your faith and resilience. The signs have been written in the morning dew and evening stars, yet many have turned their eyes away. This is not a time for fear, but a time for awakening to the deeper truths that I have planted in your hearts since the beginning of creation. In these critical hours, you must understand that your physical dwellings require attention, but more importantly, your spiritual houses must be set in order. Secure your homes as wisdom dictates, but remember that your greatest shelter lies in the sanctuary of my presence. Store what you need, but know that I am your ultimate provider, just as I fed the Israelites in the wilderness. The winds of change are gathering strength, and the earth prepares to speak in languages long forgotten by human ears. Yet, I have not left you without guidance. In your modern vessels of communication, I have ensured these warnings reach you, combining the ancient ways with the new. This emergency alert system, though made by human hands, serves as my messenger in these crucial times. Your technology will sound its alarms, but listen deeper still to the stirring in your spirit. For in these 2 days, the ordinary patterns of life may be interrupted, but extraordinary manifestations of my protection will be revealed to those who heed this call. Let your preparations be thorough, but let your faith be even more complete. Remember how I have preserved my people through generations of trials and tribulations. This alert comes not to instill fear, but to awaken you to your need for divine covering. In these moments, when the foundations seem uncertain, know that I remain unchanging, a fortress in times of trouble. The hours ahead will require wisdom that surpasses human understanding. Gather your families close, strengthen your communities, and most importantly, align your hearts with the eternal rhythms of my purpose. For those who walk in obedience and faith, these days will become a testimony of divine preservation. This is not merely a warning, but an invitation to witness my sovereignty over all creation. As you prepare for these designated days, let every action be guided by faith, every decision anchored in wisdom, and every moment saturated with prayer. For I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Thus, my children, take heed of this alert, for it comes wrapped in both authority and love. Let those who have ears hear not just the physical alarms, but the spiritual significance of this divine warning. Remember, as the hours of July 11th and 12th approach, you stand not alone but under the watchful eyes of the one who holds all seasons in his hands, and through your faith and obedience, you shall witness my glory manifested in protection and provision. My beloved children, in these pressing times, I call upon all nations, tribes, and tongues to join as one voice before my throne. Just as the early morning dew gathers uniformly upon every blade of grass, so must you now gather in spiritual unity during these crucial hours of July 11th and 12th. This is not a call that distinguishes between denominations or beliefs, but rather a divine summons that transcends all earthly divisions. In the chambers of heaven, I hear the scattered prayers of my people, but now is the time for these individual whispers to become a mighty chorus. When you stand together in prayer, your collective faith becomes a shield that spans continents. Remember how the walls of Jericho fell not by the strength of arms, but by the united obedience and faith of my people walking as one. During these 2 days of alertness, let your homes become sanctuaries of collective prayer. Whether you gather in small family groups or connect through the modern means I have provided, let your prayers rise in harmony. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. But when millions unite in prayer, the very foundations of heaven are moved to respond. I have watched as you have built walls between yourselves, creating divisions where I intended unity. But in these moments of anticipated trial, these walls must crumble. The emergency that approaches knows no boundaries of race, status, or creed. Therefore, Your response must mirror this universality. Join hands across the divides you have created, for in unity lies your greatest strength. Let those who dwell in cities reach out to those in rural areas. Let the wealthy extend their resources to the poor. Let the strong support the weak. For in this tapestry of mutual support, you will see my love manifested in ways that transcend human understanding. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective, but the unified prayer of my people can shift the very axis of circumstances. In these hours of alert, let your prayers be specific and purposeful. Pray for your communities, your leaders, and those who will be tasked with emergency response. But more importantly, pray with one accord, understanding that your collective voice creates a symphony that pierces the heavens. Just as the disciples were in one accord in the upper room before the outpouring of my Spirit, so must you now unite in expectant prayer. Remember the pattern of Esther, who called all her people to fast and pray together before she approached the king. This unity in spiritual purpose created a pathway for miraculous intervention. Similarly, your united prayers during these critical days will establish corridors of divine protection and provision. Let no one stand alone during these hours. Reach out to the isolated, connect with the disconnected, and gather the scattered. Through your phones, your computers, and your gathering places, create networks of prayer that span the globe. For when you pray together, your faith becomes a mighty current that flows from heart to heart, creating rivers of living water in spiritual places. This emergency alert calls not just for physical preparation, but for spiritual mobilization. Let every hour of these 2 days be saturated with the incense of united prayer. For in your unity, you will find strength. In your collective faith, you will discover power. And in your gathered prayers, you will witness my response. As the hours of this emergency alert approach, remember that you are not merely individuals facing a challenge, but a united army of prayer warriors, standing shoulder to shoulder under the banner of heaven. And in this unity of purpose and prayer, you shall witness the manifestation of my promise that where my people gather as one, there my power flows without measure. Hearken, my children, to these sacred instructions for your protection, both in the physical realm and the spiritual domain. As the hours of July 11th and 12th draw near, I impart to you wisdom that combines earthly prudence with heavenly guidance. Just as I instructed Noah in the precise measurements of the ark, I now provide you with detailed directions for your safeguarding. First, attend to your physical dwellings with diligence. Secure your homes as vessels of protection, ensuring all entrances are fortified. Stock your storehouses with water, sustenance, and necessities for 3 days, not from a place of fear, but from wisdom. As the ant prepares in summer for the winter months, so must you prepare for these designated days. Keep your communication devices charged and ready, for they shall serve as modern-day shofars, carrying crucial alerts and enabling connection with your community. Yet, more vital than these physical preparations are the spiritual shields you must erect. Create a sacred space within your homes where prayer can flow unhindered. Just as the Israelites marked their doorposts with blood before the passing of judgment, so must you mark your spiritual territory with prayer and proclamation. Let the words of Psalms 91 be upon your lips, declaring divine protection over your household. Dress yourselves in the full armor of spiritual readiness. Let your loins be girded with truth, your feet shod with the preparation of peace, and your hands ready to help others. Keep oil in your lamps, like the wise virgins, maintaining spiritual vigilance throughout these hours. Your prayers should rise as incense, creating a canopy of protection over your dwelling places. Establish watches of prayer throughout these days. As the guards of ancient cities maintain their posts through the night, so must you maintain spiritual alertness. Let there be no gap in your spiritual defense through these critical hours. When one family member rests, let another maintain the watch of prayer, ensuring continuous coverage. Remember to protect not just your physical bodies but your minds and spirits. Guard your thoughts against fear and anxiety, for these are not from me. Fill your minds with my promises, letting them be as shields against the arrows of uncertainty. Keep worship music playing in your homes, for praise creates an atmosphere where my presence dwells and where protection is established. For those with young ones, teach them the ways of both practical and spiritual safety. Let them participate in your preparations, not in fear, but in faith-filled anticipation of my protection. Show them how to pray with confidence, knowing that I hear the prayers of even the smallest child. Create emergency plans that encompass both physical and spiritual responses. Know your safe spaces, both in your homes and in your communities. But more importantly, know the secret place of the Most High, where true safety resides. Establish communication protocols with your loved ones, but also maintain open lines of communication with heaven through constant prayer. Keep your spiritual antennas attuned to my voice throughout these days. Just as a radio must be precisely tuned to receive clear signals, so must your spirits be aligned with my frequency to receive divine instruction. I will guide you with specific directions as needed, showing you where to go, when to move, and how to respond to any situation that arises. Let your homes be prepared as sanctuaries not just for your families, but for those who might need shelter. As you secure your physical provisions, maintain a heart ready to share with others who may seek refuge. Your preparation should extend beyond your own needs to encompass the potential needs of your community. As you implement these measures of protection, remember that your greatest security lies not in physical preparations alone, but in the perfect fusion of practical wisdom and spiritual authority. For when these two align under my guidance, you create an impenetrable fortress that stands firm against any storm that may arise during these prophetic hours of July 11th and 12th. Throughout the ages, I have spoken through signs, wonders, and prophecies, preparing my people for pivotal moments in time. Now, as July 11th and 12th approach, I call you to remember the ancient words that echo into your present reality. Just as I spoke through the prophets of old, warning of events to come, so have I been speaking of these days through various vessels and signs that many have overlooked. Consider how I warned Pharaoh through Joseph of the 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. Today, I have been sending similar warnings through dreams, visions, and even through the patterns in nature that few have taken time to discern. The unusual weather patterns, the shifting of seasons, and the signs in the heavens have all been speaking of these approaching days. Remember how I spoke to Noah of events that had never before been witnessed on earth. The people of his time scoffed at the preparation for rain when they had never seen it fall. Similarly, I have been warning of events that many consider impossible or improbable. Yet just as every prophecy concerning the coming of my Son was fulfilled with precise accuracy, so too will these warnings prove true in their appointed time. Look back to the prophecies of Daniel, who spoke of times when knowledge would increase and people would run to and fro. You live in these prophesied days, where technology carries my warnings to the furthest corners of the earth. This emergency alert system, a marvel unknown to previous generations, serves as a modern-day fulfillment of ancient words about messages reaching the entire world simultaneously. Recall the words spoken through Joel, describing days when your young men would see visions and your old men would dream dreams. In recent years, I have been sending consistent dreams and visions to my people across nations, speaking of these specific days in July. Those who have kept spiritual journals and shared their revelations have noticed the patterns, the overlapping messages pointing to this time. Consider how I warned the early church through Agabus of a coming famine, allowing them to prepare. Throughout this past season, I have placed a similar burden of preparation on the hearts of many, an unexplainable urgency to be ready for a specific time. These internal witnesses, combined with external signs, stand as testimony to the significance of these approaching days. The prophets of old spoke of times when the earth would experience birth pangs. You have witnessed these increasing in frequency and intensity, natural disasters, social upheavals, and global shakings. These events have not been random occurrences, but carefully orchestrated signs pointing to these crucial days in July. In the time of Moses, I gave specific instructions for the first Passover, including the exact days it would occur. Similarly, I have been precise about these dates of July 11th and 12th, speaking through multiple channels and confirmations. Those who have been watching and praying have seen these dates repeatedly highlighted through various means. Just as Jeremiah's prophecies seemed impossible to his generation, yet came to pass with stunning accuracy, so too will these current prophecies find their fulfillment. I have preserved these historical prophecies in my word, not just as historical records, but as patterns for recognizing my ways of warning and preparing my people in every generation. The prophecies concerning these days have come not just through traditional religious channels, but through scientific discoveries, technological advancements, and even through the simple observations of children and those considered foolish by the world. For as in times past, I often choose to reveal my purposes through unexpected sources. As you stand on the threshold of July 11th and 12th, remember that you are not witnessing random events, but the careful unfolding of prophetic words spoken through generations. And just as every prophecy of old found its perfect fulfillment in its appointed time, so shall these warnings prove to be the very words of the living God, manifesting in your midst with undeniable clarity and purpose. Beloved children, in the midst of these solemn warnings about July 11th and 12th, I extend to you a message filled with divine hope and assurance of my unfailing protection. Just as a mother eagle spreads her wings over her young, so my covering of protection extends over all who place their trust in me during these significant days. Remember how I preserved Noah and his family through the flood, Daniel in the lion's den, and the 3 Hebrew children in the fiery furnace. My power to protect has not diminished through the ages. The same God who parted the Red Sea stands ready to make a way where there seems to be no way. Your circumstances may appear overwhelming, but they are merely platforms for displaying my glory. I have not given you these warnings to instill fear, but to demonstrate my faithful love and desire to protect my own. In the coming hours, you will witness my hand moving in ways that will strengthen your faith for generations to come. Just as I provided manna in the wilderness and water from the rock, I will supply all your needs according to my riches in glory. Even now, my angels are positioned strategically around your homes, your communities, and your nations. These ministering spirits are charged with your protection, working in perfect coordination with my divine purposes for these crucial days. Though chaos may swirl around you, you will experience supernatural peace that surpasses all understanding. Consider how I protected the Israelites during the plagues of Egypt, providing complete immunity in Goshen while judgment fell elsewhere. Similarly, those who dwell in my secret place will find themselves surrounded by an impenetrable shield of divine protection. The very circumstances that threaten others will become testimonies of my preserving power in your lives. I am releasing a special measure of faith for these days, enabling you to stand firm when others falter. This faith is not based on what your natural eyes see, but on my eternal promises that never fail. As David faced Goliath with 5 smooth stones, you will face these days with unshakable confidence in my protecting power. Your children will witness my faithfulness firsthand, creating generational testimonies of my protection. Just as the children of Israel recounted the stories of my deliverance to subsequent generations, so will your experiences during these days become pillars of faith for those who follow after you. In the midst of any upheaval, watch for my rainbow, signs of my covenant faithfulness appearing in unexpected places. I will provide moments of profound encouragement, divine coincidences that confirm my active involvement in every detail of your lives. These will serve as personal tokens of my love and protection, specially designed for each of you. Remember how I caused the children of Israel to be viewed favorably by their enemies during times of crisis. Similarly, I will grant you favor in unexpected places. Resources will come from unanticipated sources, and help will arrive through unlikely channels. My provision will demonstrate that I am not limited by natural circumstances or human limitations. Let your hearts be filled with anticipation rather than apprehension. These days will reveal not just my power to protect, but my desire to prosper you, even in challenging times. Like Joseph, who experienced promotion during a season of global crisis, some of you will find these days marking the beginning of supernatural elevation. Throughout these hours, maintain an atmosphere of praise in your hearts and homes. Worship is your weapon, creating a canopy of protection over your life. Like Paul and Silas, who sang at midnight in their prison cell, your songs of faith will activate divine intervention in miraculous ways. As the appointed hours of July 11th and 12th draw near, rest secure in the knowledge that you are enveloped in my divine protection. For these days will not be remembered for their challenges, but will stand as eternal testimonies to my faithful protection, where every threat transformed into a triumph, and every fear dissolved in the overwhelming evidence of my protecting love. Hear my instructions concerning the sacred duty of community support during these prophetic days of July 11th and 12th. As members of one body, you must move in coordinated purpose, ensuring that none among you falls through the gaps of care and provision. Just as the early church held all things in common, so must you now embrace the divine mandate of collective support. Let your homes become beacons of hope and refuge for those in need. Establish communication networks that reach beyond your immediate circles, extending to the elderly, the isolated, and the vulnerable. As the Good Samaritan did not pass by on the other side, you too must be ready to extend help beyond comfortable boundaries. Create lists of those who might need extra assistance during these critical hours. I call upon those with abundance to share without hesitation. Your excess is not for hoarding, but for distribution. Remember how I multiplied the widow's oil and the loaves and fishes. Your generosity will activate similar miracles of provision. Set aside portions of your preparation specifically for sharing, knowing that in giving, you participate in my divine economy of grace. Organize your communities into support clusters, where each group takes responsibility for specific needs. Let those with medical knowledge be identified and ready to serve. Those with technical skills should prepare to assist with communication and power needs. Those with vehicles must be ready to transport those without means. Create clear channels of communication between these support networks. To the strong among you, I give a special charge to support the weak. Your strength is not for your benefit alone, but for lifting others. Establish check-in systems for the elderly and disabled. Ensure that single parents, especially, have the support they need during these hours. Let no one face these days in isolation or without the assurance of community backing. Your places of worship must transform into centers of practical support. Let your faith be demonstrated through actions that meet tangible needs. Establish distribution points for resources, communication hubs for information, and prayer centers that operate continuously. Your spiritual gatherings must be paired with practical service. I call upon professionals to use their skills for community benefit. Let medical workers establish emergency response protocols. Let teachers help organize children's care. Let builders assess and secure structures. Let counselors prepare to offer emotional support. Every gift and skill must be mobilized for the common good. Create systems for sharing accurate information and countering fear with faith-filled facts. Appoint those with discernment to filter and distribute crucial updates. Establish regular times for community prayer and information sharing, ensuring all members remain informed and encouraged. Remember the example of Nehemiah, who organized his people section by section to rebuild the walls. Similarly, divide your community into manageable sections, with clear leadership and responsibility chains. Let each section know its duty in supporting the whole, working in coordinated effort for maximum effectiveness. To those with special resources, generators, water supplies, medical supplies, or communication equipment, I give an extra measure of responsibility. These resources are not for private use alone, but must be ready for community benefit. Develop clear plans for their shared use during these critical hours. For families with children, create support networks that ensure no child feels afraid or unsupported. Organize activities that keep young ones productively engaged, while allowing parents to fulfill their emergency response duties. Let the children also participate in age-appropriate support tasks, teaching them the value of community service. As you implement these guidelines for community support during July 11th and 12th, Remember that you are not merely organizing human efforts, but participating in a divine demonstration of my love through unified action. For when my people move as one body in support of each other, they create an unshakable testimony of my kingdom manifested on earth, where every need is met through the miracle of community and every burden is lifted through the power of shared love and purpose.